I generally recommend, especially if we know the dog at some point in time has been like weird around the baby. I generally recommend them sleeping in the kennel just because eventually your kid's gonna get to an age where they're like coming to find you because they had a nightmare or they want a drink of water or whatever. And if she's loose in the house, that can get dicey because the kid could surprise her or want to hang out with her while you're asleep and all that kind of stuff. So generally having a crate is going to remove some of those issues for that reason being. And like you said, the baby being able to potentially go over there. I think we've talked ourselves out of a wire crate. You would probably be best to get one that's fully enclosed. I can send you some links too. I'll send you the muzzle stuff. I'll send you some crate styles. That might be a better option. And since you moved, is that when you feel like some of the behaviors kind of popped up and have kind of escalated?
Yeah, through the time of living with them, and then we had a baby a year ago.
Okay, so lots of new changes. She's like, what's happening?
Yeah. She has definitely bared teeth a few times.
Okay.
And not just at our baby, at really any child.
Got it.
Any small child.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is it, and it sounds like just like from a distance she displays that she's uncomfortable, or is it when they kind of are close proximity trying to touch her, or?
As they're getting close.
As they're getting close.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
She's forecasting, keep it away from me. Okay, we can work on desensitizing her and working on some of that kind of stuff. And I saw on there that she isn't crate trained.
Correct.
Has she ever been in a crate before?
Yeah, she was
Okay.
when she was a puppy.
Okay, okay. Was she fine with it or not great?
She never really liked it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That might be something, depending on how open you guys are to it, that would be worth like reintroducing and kind of working on a little bit. I just find that with kids and a dog, having the crate as an option can take a lot of load off of you guys, because if you need a break from like the hypervigilance, you can just like put her away and know that she's gonna be safe, baby's gonna be safe, and mentally you get a little bit of a break. So that might be something worth reinvestigating. I know, hello. And that makes sense then that all the life changes kind of like brought it to the surface, because it's just the symptom of the bigger problem brewing underneath, where she's just like anxious and nervous about stuff. So we can work on that. As far as kind of our approach and what we'll do is, obviously we're just gonna set up some very clear communication so that you guys feel like you can communicate with her a little bit better. She knows what you want, what you don't want. And that way you feel a lot more confident when she's in certain settings, so you're not kind of like, uh-oh, what is she gonna do? Make her a little bit more predictable for you. By building her confidence and giving her a little more structure, you're gonna be able to eliminate some of those like fear-based, impulsive kind of things where she's getting really defensive around the kids or different things like that. There will certainly be a balance of obviously making sure that children know how to interact with her appropriately, but also that we can advocate for her, but also teaching her that kids don't have to be scary. So we'll be able to work on that. As far as the different commands that she's going to learn, we'll work on the leash walking. So that way, regardless of the setting, the distractions, whatever, she's going to know exactly how you want her to walk, nice and politely. We'll work on a bed command where we can tell her to go to a bed. She goes there, she stays there. We'll work on an off-leash recall. So even with prey animals around, you're confident that she's not just going to zoom away on you. We'll work on down, sits, all the basic kind of stuff. Behaviorally, how the commands will impact her is, again, kind of going back to the structure aspect. So what you guys kind of saw is that it sounds like she does really well when she has like a very predictable routine, but as soon as the routine deviates, then you see a lot of that anxiety and some of that fear come forward, where we're getting some of the weird behaviors. So by giving her predictability and routine in her relationships with you guys, then the environmental changes aren't going to matter as much. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And that's where I think the crate training could help and benefit us, is that the crate can then also be an extension of that routine, where regardless of like if you travel with her, if you take her places, if she has to board somewhere, if she's at the vet, whatever it is, you'll be able to have something to put her in that she's like, this is home, this is cozy, rather than the anxiety and stuff like that. We're gonna start with one of these. So I'm gonna fit this to her properly, and basically the way that it works is that when we add pressure from the leash and it cinches together, it distributes it evenly across all these little pokey bits. They're not gonna hurt her or anything, but they make the area a lot more sensitive. So instead, like you described, even with putting the leash on the back of the harness, how she's able to really just lean in, and we can't really do a lot of communicating in that instance with the leash. We're just kind of tethered to her. With the front hook, that works a little bit better, but the problem is that it kind of causes the dog to constantly walk in an arch, if you probably noticed, which can long-term affect their health because of their gait, and they're kind of contorted like this. And if she were to take off after something, she's going to give herself a little bit of like whiplash. You've probably seen some of that. Yeah. So by using a collar that is placed on her neck, we're going to have a lot more control, and we're going to actually be able to teach her how we want her to walk versus relying on the equipment to just hopefully like impede her ability to act insane. There you go. All right. She's like, I don't know about this, guys. So I'm just going to walk around with her a little bit, get her a little bit accustomed to the sensation and what it means. And again, there we go, good job. I want to use this to communicate with her, so I'm actively adding pressure. I'm not going to just be passive about it. And what I mean by that is, good job, thank you. I don't want to wait for her to pull, to start pulling back. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm watching her, and as soon as she starts to leave, I'm the one that's pulling her back towards me in position. Because if I wait for her to pull and then I pull, now we're just in a tug of war. So instead of that, I want to be the one that's actively guiding her. And once she is back in my immediate space, that's when I'm releasing the pressure. So she's essentially learning that the quicker you stay with me, the quicker that pressure goes away. And if you never leave, then you'll never have to feel it at all. So pressure on, and then release. Good job. Yeah, very nice. And I'm not being super picky about what side she's on or anything like that just yet. Just want her close to me. Good job, very nice. Is she food motivated? Does she like treats and stuff? Perfect, let's grab some of your snacks that you brought. Now you're ready, huh? Good job. Very nice. So she's like, oh, okay. So good girl. Staying with you gets me snacks. Walking away causes the pressure. So over time, she'll figure out which one is preferable. Good job. Good. She's like, I know you're making those smaller than they actually are. Skimping out on the full treats here.
Those ones are like, they're a little too big.
Yeah, they're quite large. Here you go. And similar, if I stop, I'd just like her to stop with me. So if she continues to go, I'm just going to bring her back. Good job. Oh, good job. Now, the way that we use treats to where she's not going to get dependent on them, to where she's like not going to listen unless she sees a snack, is not always having it like visible to where we're almost luring her or bribing her with it. So instead what I'm doing is we're walking, we're stopping, she does the correct thing, maybe. So now I'm going to bring her back. Make sure that she's gonna stay put here with me. Good girl. I'm gonna let her know she did the proper thing by telling her good, and then I'll reach for my snack and I'll give it to her. So that way she's not gonna be relying on like, okay, but where's the treat? You have to complete the task before the treat is ever gonna be a part of the equation.
We've never gotten to that.
Good job. Very nice. And a lot of times too, especially with dogs that have really intense prey drive, you could have 50 million treats, but if there's a goat there, it's probably not gonna do much. So that's where having something on the other end of the spectrum where we use both positive reinforcement, but we can also use corrections is definitely necessary. Because good job. I want her to know that she's done something well by using rewards, but we also need to be able to communicate when she's doing something wrong. And we're gonna work a little bit on using leash pressure to get her into a sit position. Good job. Now I'm sure that she probably knows sit, but the reason why I'm not gonna verbally ask her to sit right now is because there's also probably times where you tell her to sit and she doesn't listen. So we need to have some physical way of enforcing it to where she can't ignore us, right? So if I ask you to sit and you ignore me, I need to be able to use the leash to get you in that position. Okay? So this is going to teach her that when you feel upward pressure, like this on the collar, that I want you to sit down.
She also does this.
Okay.
She gets like real submissive.
Yeah. And that will come with confidence of her knowing exactly what the rules are. She'll kind of work through some of this overly submissive stuff. Okay, come on. So I'm just adding just a little bit of pressure here. Can help her a little bit. Good. Very nice. Okay. Little bit of pressure here. Now I'll add a little bit here. Good. Yeah, and it seems like, so even how she reacted a little bit to the leash pressure over there, what you guys are describing, where she'll get kind of like shut down and submissive, that she doesn't have a lot of resilience, I guess you could say. Where like stress or pressure in whatever facet causes her to like internalize and get like very shut down, and she doesn't really have the confidence or the skills to like problem solve through it. And that's likely where we're getting this weird, she's either shut down and internalized or she's like lashing out. Because you probably met people maybe who do that as well. Sure, we all have. Maybe we've all been that person at times. But that's a similar thing. So what we can do is teach her how to handle pressure a little bit better. And part of that, unfortunately, is just forcing them to work through a lot of it and teaching the dog that, like, you're not going to die. You know, everything's going to be fine. Okay? So instead of her, like, how she yelped a little bit and everything when I was using the leash pressure, a lot of times, good girl, the moments like that will cause us to back off and be like, okay, maybe I should stop. She's really uncomfortable, whatever. But in reality, okay, her reaction in that moment was completely disproportionate to what was going on. So
That's also something we always say about her.
yes, she's a little dramatic. So that's where it's like we have to work through those moments. Come here. Hey. She's like, I just want to collapse. Come here. Good job. Now, what's interesting is that generally, I don't really care if when I ask a dog to sit, they lay down. I care with her because she's not doing it because she's like, might as well get comfy. She's doing it because she's like, oh my God, what do I do? Okay, So I want to work through that a little bit and teach her that like you don't have to collapse at the slightest bit of pressure here. Come here. Good job. Good job. I know, good job. Good, that was very nice. Very, very good. Okay. Beautiful, good job. Okay. I know, we have to work on your self-confidence here. Your self-worth. Come on. Good girl. Okay. Good job. That was really nice. That was really nice. Okay. Good girl. Yeah, I saw that little tail wag. She's like, did you guys see that? I did it. There we go. And so that down, that was more of a relaxed one, right? So I'm fine with that. But if she does the like, where she just becomes a pill bug, that's when we're gonna work on it. Okay, come on. Let's go. Good girl. That's so nice. That's really nice. Okay. Nice work. Very good. Very good. Okay. So intentional with every step getting up there. Good job. Now, does she have like a dog bed at home or anything? No. I would say it might be prudent to get her something. So whether it's like a cot like this or a bed or something. So that way she has somewhere that's hers, that she can use as a bed when we start working on it a little bit more. And I'd like her to stay up here on the bed, same as with the sits, until I tell her she's done. So we're gonna be building a stay into everything we do. So the okay is basically gonna be her release from it.
That's great.
So that way you don't have to just like tag on a stay to everything willy-nilly. It's just assumed until I tell you the word okay. Okay?
And we actually.
Good. Now, with the kids stuff, generally what I recommend, the safest way to work her through being around kids, your own kid, things like that, truly would be to get a muzzle for her, okay? That we can use, so that way we can challenge her and kind of work towards her being able to fit in the lifestyle with your kid the way you would hope her to, without having any danger aspect. So, has she ever worn a muzzle before? I can send you guys an email that has like some links to different styles that you could look into. There's two different ones that I usually recommend. There's either a Baskerville or a Jeffco. The only difference, they're both like the basket type muzzles. So they're very comfortable for them to wear long term. So she can even wear it for a few hours at a time, you know, if she needed to. The only difference is the Baskerville it's more like a cage looking one. So it's got holes in it. So the only risk with that is that you could say it's not fully bite proof in the event that like a finger goes in it. So like if your finger ends up inside it or something, then you're at risk. The Jafco is like a full plastic, like a clear plastic one with like 1 or 2 like breathing holes essentially. So it's a lot more bite proof in that there's not as much risk for that. So I kind of leave it up to the parents to weigh, the pros and cons of that depending on your own kid and that kind of thing as far as which style you want to go with. Okay. Good job.
And is it, and this is a question everyone asks.
Yeah.
Is it the assumption that we get to a point where we no longer feel we need the muzzle?
Sure. Ideally, right? So I think that with stuff like this, the goal is obviously, of course, to try to get her as confident and comfortable around the child as possible. What that realistically looks like, we'll only kind of know as we do it. You know what I mean? So like, we may get to a point where, I kind of view using a muzzle as like, we're using it until it feels absolutely ridiculous that we're still using it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, things have been so good. We've had 0 issues. We've seen her in a myriad of different situations with the child and things have been fine, different things like that. So until we get to that point, then I would say the muzzle is going to be like a pertinent piece of it. Okay, good job. And so even there, she saw the other dog through the gate, and all I did was just guide her back up to enforce that bed there in that moment.
She's very distractible.
We gotta work on that. Yeah, you'll figure it out. Okay. Good job. When it comes to strange kids, and even though they're like obviously your family's kids, they're strange to her. She doesn't know them. And so there's always obviously a higher risk to that for a number of reasons. Mainly being able to set boundaries, like you've talked about, is the hardest part, is that you can't necessarily control what other people are going to tell their kids to do or not do. And so then we're kind of in a position where either we're causing rifts in the family because we're like, hey, your kids can't do that. Or we're putting her continuously in positions that are kind of unfair for her, where she can't really be successful, depending on her personality. So I agree, like our ultimate goal could be working towards figuring out a way that to use her training to make that feasible for you, or getting you to where you're comfortable where you could board her somewhere while you guys go. You know what I mean? And then you're not stuck here with like chained to the dog of like everything revolves around Mia and that kind of thing. Very good. You see how you're not having to use as much pressure to get her up there now? Yep. And that's kind of the goal, and where a lot of nervous dogs or anxious dogs that don't have a lot of confidence, where they build the confidence is when they're doing it easily. So a lot of times for us, they're doing it, it's hard, and then we get like 2 reps of good ones and we're like, okay, we'll call it, end on a good note. But in her mind, she's like, that sucked. I struggled the whole time, and then just when I started to get good at it, we're not doing it anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like we want to counter the struggle with a lot of really good ones. So it's like once you hit that rhythm where she's doing great at it, it's tempting to be like, oh, she's good at it, I don't need to do it anymore. But that's where the real learning really is and what makes her feel really good about herself. Very nice. And it helps her feel excited about training because she's like, oh, I'm so good at this, I can do it. What kind did you use when she was little? Like one like this? Okay.
Like that exactly. I think that's really small. And goes that size.
There's different styles, and depending on the dog, sometimes that can dictate like what they like best. Obviously there's these wire ones. I would say as far as crates go, the wire ones are the less sturdy. They're easier to get out of if you have a dog who's going to be determined to get out of them. And some dogs have a hard time settling in them because they can see everything. So it's a little bit more She said, why don't we stop doing that for now? It's a little bit more nerve-wracking. So some dogs prefer like the plastic ones that are like fully enclosed with just the grate door. Some dogs that are a little bit more anxious kind of prefer those. So depending, you can obviously choose what style you think that you want to get. Okay, good job. So one of the keys to crate training is teaching the dog to stay in the crate with the door open. If they're not resigned to the fact of being into the crate mentally, then they're certainly not going to be happy when they're physically forced to stay in there. So kind of teaching her the boundaries. It's also, I don't want her to feel tricked. So like I put you in there and then I close the door really quick. I want her to feel like she's like seeing everything. She knows what's happening. She's like mentally ready. She's like, okay, cool. I got it. Okay. So I'm not even really going to mess with the door right now. Just a lot of like putting her in there, having her hang out in there for a little bit. If she comes out, just putting her back in. Look at you. Good job. Okay. Very nice. Good girl. That was pretty good. I'll give you a snack for that. Nice work. Some people will even, you could feed her in a crate with the door open. So that way she's like associates it with the positive things of eating in there, you know, different things like that. Okay. Good girl. Let's see what we get. She's like, this was not part of the plan. Now, when she was younger and you said you guys did use a crate, what would she generally do in there? Was she just like resistant to go in, like barking and whining, or what was her vibe?
I think we would give her a peanut butter collar.
Okay.
So it would start well.
Yep. There were a few different stages of it. So, like when she was potty training, it was the crate was in our bedroom, and we'd let her out, you know, to go to the bathroom, and then we moved the crate to the living room, and she kind of just got destructive in it. Like she would eat her anything soft in there,
Got it.
and then I will say though, so we have a camper van that we travel in, and she was in the crate there for a while, and that was probably when we were most successful.
Okay.
But then it just got to a point where like she just destroyed anything soft, and I don't know if we're wrong in thinking this, but she just seems to like cozy things.
Sure.
And like she didn't destroy the couch,
Sure.
so she slept in the living room on her own time. So
Okay.
that's kind of why we stopped using it.
Okay.
The way we thought of it was just like when she was a puppy, we really trusted her.
Yeah.
And then she
Yeah.
so quickly became trustworthy in the house as far as destruction goes that we
Yeah.
just thought about it again.
Got it.
But I think the point at which we made that turn was she was getting more and more obnoxious in the crate. Like we wake up in the middle of the night to her trying to, you know,
Trying to get out of it and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she was more destructive in the crate.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. What I would say, like when we're working on it, I mean, it seems sad, but like you don't have to put anything in there. I don't generally recommend giving dogs like any type of food or water or toys or chews or anything, because I want the crate to be somewhere that they like go in and they just like turn off, right? So if we give them things in there that can entertain them, we're kind of like perpetuating their brain needing to be entertained. And then once they've finished the Kong or they've ripped up the bed or whatever, they're like, what do I do now? And then they go on to another thing. So by getting her to where she can go into the crate and be like, oh, I just am conditioned to just turn off and just lay down and relax and not really care, it'll fulfill its purpose a lot better.
Where should we put a crate?
It's kind of up to you. I'm not too worried about, I don't really think it makes a huge difference. I think there's value in different locations. Like if you have it in a main living space, the value in that is she's able to like see everything and realize she can't be a part of it, which is valuable because of the FOMO that we talked about. There's also value for her being secluded somewhere and put away if she needs to like decompress. Like if you're having a bunch of people over or something, she's not like in the midst of it, you know? So like, I think there's different benefits to different places, and it's not the end of the world either if you were to like move it to different places depending on what you need in that moment.
Yeah. I think my concern with the crate is just the way our house is set up. She would be either in the living space where the baby can get to the crate,
Sure,
which feels dicey,
sure.
or the crate would be in our bedroom, which I don't know that I necessarily want her sleeping there.
Yeah.
I don't know if the crate is where she would sleep.
Yeah.
That's not
No,
necessary.
no, I think that's good you're bringing it up. So I generally recommend, especially if we know the dog at some point in time has been like weird around the baby. I generally recommend them sleeping in the kennel just because eventually your kid's gonna get to an age where they're like coming to find you because they had a nightmare or they want a drink of water or whatever. And if she's loose in the house, that can get dicey because the kid could surprise her or want to hang out with her while you're asleep and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So generally having a crate is going to remove some of those issues for that reason being. And like you said, the baby being able to potentially go over there. I think we've talked ourselves out of a wire crate. You would probably be best to get one that's fully enclosed. I can send you some links too. I'll send you the muzzle stuff. I'll send you some crate styles that might be a better option that we can use. Oh, look at that. That you guys could look into to get. There's also, I have a client that she has a baby and the dog's weird about the baby. And what she ended up doing was they kept their wire crate and they ordered one of those like canvas covers, like a zip up cover that you can put over it. So that could be something too as an option, is to get something like that, because then even if the baby gets up there, they can't actually get their fingers in or anything like that. So there's some options.
Yeah. Okay.
So she would be ideally sleeping in the crate with the door shut.
Yes, yes, yep. And what's nice about it is that like, so from my own personal experience, I have a stepson who's 13 now, but he was around 3, barely 3, when I met my husband. And my oldest shepherd was not exposed to a lot of kids. I didn't have kids, you know, so having him around an almost 3-year-old who also, comparatively, my husband never really raised him to like be super respectful of other dogs. So we had an interesting combo. So a lot of what I did in the beginning to make sure we had no oopsies was either the dog was out and muzzled and I was able to supervise everything, or he was put away in a kennel where the kid couldn't reach him, you know? So that's gonna be kind of your go-to as you're navigating this, essentially, is that she's out, she's under control, she's muzzled for safety reasons, and then when you're not able to do that, even if you're home and you feel like, oh, I should have her out, if you don't have the mental bandwidth to do it, she just gets to be put away and that's fine. You know, there were plenty of times where it was like, I have 1,000,001 things to worry about. The dog cannot be one of them. You need to go away for an hour or two, and that's totally fine. So that will be kind of how you'll navigate it essentially in the beginning. Look at you, just relaxing. And now, just because I'm opening the door, that doesn't mean that the expectation of staying in there is gone. So if I open it and she decides she's just gonna try to bust right out, I'm just gonna close it on her. Okay, good job. Come on, okay, you can come out.
That's the safe spot.
She said, I'm cozy in here. Okay, you don't have to, that's fine. We'll be over here though, whenever you feel like it.